Spider-Man.
So I just watched the Acolyte episode 4, and last week I told you guys that I wasn't really a huge fan of the episode in terms of just the plot and kind of logistically how things were handled, and I assumed that they were going to kind of do a twist with the characters maybe in this episode, but that's not really what happened. Maybe this can still happen down the line. I still do have some hope in this series, but this 4th episode just really annoyed me, if I'm being honest. And definitely not the way you think. I honestly like the way the plot is moving and all of the mystery and intrigue, and I am starting to really like some of these characters. But the problem with this episode that I'm having is, again, we're going to touch on this later on, the fact that it's 30 minutes, in fact less than 30 minutes long, in a show that's $180 million budget or something. This episode in particular gets so exciting near the end. I was so excited and it just ends. I feel like the episode had just begun. It annoyed me so much that I was audibly angry as the episode finished, because what this sets up is so very exciting and I really want to see more, and I am very excited for next week's episode. But logistically, and in terms of this episode, there really doesn't seem to be a point. Let's go ahead and break it down real quick. So the whole premise of this episode is that the Jedi Order is going to find the Wookiee Jedi Cal Naka on his home planet, but Mae is also going to find Cal Naka to kill him. We know that for some reason Mae is seeking out revenge on these 4 Jedi. Again, I don't think we got the truthful point of view from what actually happened on Brandok all those years ago, because for some reason Mae is hunting down these Jedi for this Sith character, who we will actually see in this episode and we'll touch on later. So they go to the Jedi Wookiee's planet and they search for this Jedi. And about halfway through the trip, Mae kind of changes her mind and is like, I don't want to kill this Wookiee anymore. I just want to give myself up to the Jedi and be good now, which was kind of confusing in itself. So she wants to kind of surrender to Cal Naka. It's just very weird that halfway through her actual mission, she just randomly changes her mind. She doesn't seem like she's having any doubts beforehand, but I digress. Let's move on. Leading up to the end of this episode, there are some fantastic moments, and Yord in particular, who I absolutely thought was completely annoying in the first several episodes, actually sees himself as a normal Jedi and is giving friendly advice to Osha, and I really enjoyed his lines of dialogue here. I also really loved the quote from Daphne Keene's character saying that we're not defined by what we lose, we're defined by what we survive. I thought that was a really great quote, and all of the Jedi things that are going on in this series have been really good in my opinion. That's not where this series has been lackluster. And if I'm being honest, I don't think that this series is completely lackluster. Of course, last week's episode wasn't my favorite, and this episode just kind of, for lack of a better term, blue balls me, but there is a lot of good stuff to love here, and I'm really starting to like these characters, to be honest. But let's get back to the episode, because at this point it kind of just ends. Mae finds Cal Naka and realizes that he's already been killed by the Sith master that she's been working for, that she planned to give up and betray. And at that point I was very excited because, well, we're going to get to see this character and perhaps there's going to be a giant fight. Figuring, you know, we're only about 20 or so minutes into the episode, we're going to get this awesome battle that everyone's been talking about. And it's even cooler because Mae is now being framed inside of Cal Naka's home because it looks like she killed her and the Jedi tell her to come out. When all of a sudden the Sith character that we were introduced to at the beginning of the series levitates down and confronts Osha and the rest of the Jedi. I got so excited because this just looks super cool. We have all the Jedi igniting all of their lightsabers. We see the red lightsaber. So obviously these Jedi are completely freaked out and terrified because a red lightsaber has not been seen for hundreds of years. Not only that, but this Sith character uses the Force to push all of the Jedi back, and then the episode ends. I was audibly angry because this was so cool and we were about to get something so epic and something that they've been building towards, and it just cuts out. I have to wait 7 more days to see how this plays out, and normally that'd be okay if there was some sort of payoff or build up in this episode or some intrigue leading us down a path with the plot, but it really doesn't do anything. They just find Cal Naka, who's dead, and then we have this Sith character show up and the episode ends. Before I get more into this, there are a couple very cool cameos in this episode. I believe we see Mundi at the beginning of this episode on Coruscant in the Jedi Temple, and it's very funny because this episode is all about a Wookiee Jedi, and of course the most famous line from Mundi in Revenge of the Sith is, "What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?" And I also believe we see Plo Koon in the Jedi group that goes to find Cal Naka. Very cool cameos. Again, I like a lot about this series, but in terms of the flow and kind of pacing, this really just made me angry. And I know it's a show, and I know it's supposed to be a cliffhanger making you want to watch next week, but here's the thing. I'm already going to be watching next week. Just tell the story and give me the action. Are we going to arrive next week with this Sith character now gone and we don't see them for another couple episodes? I'm very confused, but I just wanted to really enjoy this moment with this new character and they cut it short. Let me know what you guys thought about this down below. Personally, I really like what's going on, but I'm frustrated that the episodes are under 30 minutes long with the opening credits, the preview, as well as the post credits. And if you want us to care about these characters and the storylines going on, I think you should probably give us a little bit more time with them. Leave your comments. I read every single one. I most likely will respond if it's positive, and I will see you all very, very soon.